It was a mid-afternoon, and the air was warm with a slight cool breeze. On an old farm sat a house where a family of three lived that was passed down from generations. The father, whose name was, let's say his name was John. John is a self-employed carpenter that spends most of his time remodeling his home. Janice is a stay-at-home mom that occasionally likes to sit and watch some Disney cartoons with their daughter, Caroline. Caroline was your average 6-year-old girl, with her red hair and a cheery smile that can make anyone laugh. When she is not outside running about, she is inside to watch her favourite movie, Cinderella. Janice said, "Caroline, are you watching that movie again? You've seen it 1,000 times." Caroline said, in an innocent, childlike tone, "But Mummy, this is my favourite song in the movie." For those wondering, remember that song in Cinderella that goes, "A dream is a wish your heart makes. When you are fast asleep, in dreams you lose your heartaches. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true." Caroline would spend hours watching her favourite movie. One day Caroline overheard her mother and father talking. She couldn't hear the entire conversation, but what did catch her attention was one word: well. Her eyes lit up, as she remembered just a couple of years ago, John told her it was a wishing well. Running to the window, she overheard her mum say, "We need to do something with that old well. It's old, abandoned and dangerous." Running outside, Caroline ran up to her parents with a sad look on her face. John quickly noticed and said, "What's wrong, dear?" With a slight pause in her voice, she responded with, "That's my favourite wishing well, and I make a wish there every day." With a heavy heart, John sighed and told his daughter it's dangerous and need to be filled so no one gets hurt. "I'll make you a deal. Tomorrow morning I'll take you up there for one last wish." With a slight saddened sigh, she agreed. Janice looked at Caroline and said, "Supper is just about ready, and go and get washed up, okay?" Later on after dinner, Caroline went to watch her favourite movie. Her mum looked over to her from the kitchen saying, "Not too late, you have a special day tomorrow with your father. Get some rest, okay?" She would always hum that tune every night as she went off to bed. It was a restless night for poor Caroline, for the well she adored so much over time is going to be gone forever. There was some slight pattering on her window when she noticed that it was starting to rain. Caroline said under her breath, "Now I'll never get to go to my wishing well by myself for my wish." She quietly got out of bed and looked out the hallway. The house was completely silent, so she crept back in to put on some shoes and coat, then grabbed a coin off her dresser. She tiptoed down the hall, past her parents' room that they were fast asleep. She made it up to the front door, and after she quietly unlocked the top lock, she slowly turned the doorknob. With a quick pop sound from the doorknob lock, she paused for a second, wondering if her father heard the noise, for he had really good hearing. For some reason that night he must have been a little more tired than usual. With a silent kid-like sigh of relief, she opened the door slowly and just enough to squeeze her body through the doorway outside. Just as she was outside, she pulled the door up behind her, just enough to leave it cracked. Worried about getting wet when she stepped off the porch, she was surprised to see that the rain stopped. Not wasting a moment, she ran towards the field to her old well. The ground was slightly damp, so that made the grass slippery. With a coin in her hand, she got ready to make her last wish there. She carefully climbed up on the rim of the wall when the worst happened. The mortar that held it together for so long gave under pressure, and Caroline gave out a blood-curdling scream. Her father immediately jumped out of his sleep. He ran to his daughter's room, but she wasn't there. He ran back to his room to wake up his wife. Janice, wake up, our baby is gone! Janice jumped right up, like any mother would when they hear those terrible words. Search the house, check the front door, find my baby! She quickly jumped out of bed and threw on a robe. John's voice rang throughout the house. She's not inside! Sheer terror flooded Janice's mind when she blurted out, Go and check the well! Oh dear God, no, as she collapsed to the floor in fear of the worst. John ran as fast as her father in fear for their child would take him. When he finally got up to it, his heart sank as he dropped down to his knees vomiting. He yelled at the top of his lungs and beyond, Caroline! 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 Hearing soft footsteps approaching, they just stopped. Then out of nowhere you just hear the loudest shriek. After the rescue squad was able to recover head, body, an immediate funeral service was held. The well was immediately covered, and a grave marker carved and engraved with characters from Cinderella read, A dream that you wish will come true. Several months passed and John and Janice still spent countless nights crying. John started drinking heavily and Janice never came out of her room. One night while John was passed out drunk, Janice made her way to the living room, where Caroline would watch Cinderella. She turns on the TV and pushed the play button. The tape was at the end part right before the credits, right where Cinderella and the prince was riding off in the carriage. She started crying uncontrollably as a familiar melody was playing. Just then she heard a clank on the hardwood floor. As she turned around to see where the noise came from, she spotted something shiny. Behind the couch she was sitting on was a quarter that had a small puddle of water around it. She picked it up and looked back at the TV, sharply to what she swore to hear a little girl's voice singing along to the last words of the melody.